Hello, it's Jim Hutchins for the Jerusalem Connection Spot Report for this week. There are many promises. As a matter of fact, the scriptures are filled with the promises of God, Holy Scriptures. And one of the most relevant for our day, I think, is one that Jesus gave concerning the Holy Spirit when He would come. He says in John chapter 16, verse 13, "But when the Spirit of truth comes, He will guide you into all truth. He will not speak of His own. He will speak only what He hears, and He will tell you of things to come." I think last week at the Democratic National Convention that we had a preview of things to come. You'll remember that caused quite a stir when in the Democratic platform the mention of God was removed, and also the mention of Jerusalem being the capital of Israel. That was likewise removed. Been in there for decades. Some feel that this was an oversight. I don't think it was. And I think the ruckus that it caused is what had them include these two things. But this represents, number one, a hostility toward God, and likewise a hostility toward the promises that God has made with regard to Israel and Jerusalem. Abe Greenwald, writing in Commentary Magazine, said this: "America got an unvarnished look at the Democratic Party's internal conflict on Israel. Half of the party represents the pro-Israel consensus in America. The other half, not so much. For all the talk about the unrecognizably extreme new Republican Party, it's the Democrats whose fringe has quietly made deep inroads into the center, and especially when it concerns Israel and the fundamentally altered nature of the Democratic Party." The notion that there is a unity among Americans is a myth of delusional proportions. We are polarized, and I would submit to you we will become increasingly polarized, and at the heart of that polarization will be these two subjects: the God of the Scriptures and what He has said, and Israel and what God has said about Israel and Jerusalem. That will be the heart of this conflict now and for the foreseeable future. It's already pervasive in the secular campuses of this country. Anti-Israel, anti-Zionist, which is really a mass for anti-Semitism. In Europe, it's reaching World War II levels. And of course, in the Muslim world, it's prominent throughout. So this is coming. This is a preview. What we saw last week was a preview of coming attractions, a preview of things to come. Bonhoeffer said this. Dietrich Bonhoeffer was the godly pastor and theologian who was hung in a Nazi death camp just 3 weeks till the Allies took over. Bonhoeffer said this: "To lift one's hand against the Jew was to lift one's hand against God. To kill the Jews was an attempt to kill God, to wipe Him out." This is what we can expect from the future, and increasingly throughout the world. A ban on God, a ban on Israel. And I think what we're told in Revelation chapter 14 and verse 12 is especially relevant. This calls for patient endurance and faithfulness on the part of the saints who obey God's commands and remain faithful to Jesus. Obey God's commands and remain faithful to Jesus. That's the call. That's the challenge. God help us. Till next week, Od Ki Yavo Shiloh, or until Messiah comes, Shalom Aleichem.